According to the site plan, this is where the foundation goes. And that is where the tree line begins? Exactly.
The HOA had just passed a strict rule: no visible outdoor AC units anywhere in the neighborhood. Ethan didn't argue. He simply decided to find a better solution. Ethan discovered geothermal heating and cooling could keep the equipment almost completely out of sight. Instead of fighting the HOA rule, he decided to work within it. Then the survey crew arrived and began marking the drilling locations. At first, the HOA president thought there were only a few holes planned. Karen started counting the markers and quickly realized this wasn't a normal residential HVAC project. Ethan simply told her the design had been professionally calculated. The next morning, the drilling contractor arrived with professional equipment. That was the moment Karen finally understood how large Ethan's geothermal project really was. The first borehole went exactly where the engineers had planned. Ethan watched quietly as the project began transforming his lawn into an underground energy system. One borehole became several, then dozens as the geothermal field expanded. Every location followed the engineering layout and was installed by the professional crew. Karen looked across the property and finally asked the question everyone was thinking: how many holes are we talking about? Ethan pointed to the completed design and gave her the number: approximately 200 boreholes. Karen stared at the plan as if she had completely misunderstood the project. The HOA board came out to inspect the project for themselves. Ethan walked them through the design instead of arguing about the rule. The biggest advantage was exactly what the HOA wanted. The bulky outdoor AC equipment was gone. Most of the geothermal system operated underground and inside the home. The board inspected the property and compared the finished installation with the HOA's visible equipment requirements. There was almost nothing mechanical left to see above ground. Once drilling was complete, the restoration crews returned to repair the lawn. The giant construction field slowly began looking like a normal backyard again. Inside the house, the geothermal system was compact, organized, and professionally installed. The huge underground field outside was now connected to a surprisingly clean mechanical room. The HOA's original concern had been visible AC equipment. Ethan's solution removed that problem without changing the character of the neighborhood. The HOA held a formal meeting to discuss the project and its impact on the community. Ethan came prepared with the engineering documents, installation details, and restoration plan. Karen carefully reviewed every part of the project documentation. The more she checked, the more obvious it became that Ethan had planned everything around the property and the neighborhood rules. The engineer explained that the number of boreholes came from the system's required ground loop capacity and site conditions. It wasn't random drilling. It was a calculated geothermal field. Karen finally understood the joke behind Ethan's accidental 200 holes. The holes weren't an accident at all. The scale was simply the result of the engineering design. Once the work was finished, neighbors began noticing something unexpected. The massive project had left almost no obvious trace from the street. For Ethan, the strangest part was how peaceful everything looked afterward. Beneath the lawn was a huge geothermal field, but above ground it looked like nothing had changed. The HOA ultimately accepted Ethan's geothermal installation as a compliant alternative. The conflict ended not with a fine or lawsuit, but with a documented solution everyone could understand. Soon, other homeowners started asking Ethan questions about geothermal heating and cooling. The project that once looked completely excessive had suddenly become a neighborhood conversation. Months later, you could stand above the entire geothermal field and barely know it existed. The lawn had recovered, while the underground system continued doing its job. Karen had started the project convinced that Ethan was creating a problem. By the end, she realized he had found a solution the original rule never anticipated. Ethan never needed to fight the HOA's rule. He simply found a smarter way to solve the problem and let the engineering speak for itself. 200 boreholes sounded unbelievable until you understood what they were actually accomplishing. And sometimes, the best way to beat a bad design restriction is to build a better solution. Like, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from.